All right. So this framework that we're gonna work on, I'm calling it the lightweight POM framework. POM stands for Page Object Model, which I'll teach you guys in a little bit. So some of the benefits that it has are that it's very easy and quick to set up. It allows for quick automation because we can set up so quickly, we can write tests very quickly. It obviously uses the page object model, and it's very easy to write tests. So because of all those benefits, this framework is really awesome to get started on because we can kind of just pick it up and start learning. There are some negatives as well, and I think with a lot of frameworks there's always negatives, so negatives don't necessarily have to be a bad thing. Just what a negative means is if you have one purpose for a framework and this framework doesn't suffice your needs, then maybe you want to use a different kind of a framework. So it always depends on your purpose. But what I would recommend is if you're at your job and you're just starting out on building an automation framework, you can start with this one. It's better to set up quickly, start running, test as fast as possible, and then you can modify to your needs. But if you have some other specific needs, we'll talk about that in the future. So anyways, some of these negatives, which are not, like I said, not necessarily a bad thing, is just facts, is that you need to refactor this framework to be able to control multiple browsers. So if you want to do cross-browser testing, then this framework needs to be refactored. Also, this framework needs to be refactored to be able to run in the cloud. A lot of times now we're using things like Sauce Labs and Browser Stack to run our tests, so this would need to be refactored as well to make that happen. We cannot run this framework in an automated fashion, so we can't schedule it and have it running. So we would need to refactor it to make it be able to do that. The framework cannot be executed externally, meaning you can't just double click a button or press a button and run it. It does not leave logs behind because it's not set up to do so. So if you wanted to do that, you would have to refactor this framework. And finally, there is no visual guideline to all of the tests that exist and the functionality that is covered by the tests. Because as you guys will see, the tests live in Visual Studio, and there is no abstraction of them into a different place that shows what all the tests do and where they live and so on and so forth, that lets us know how much of the functionality is actually covered. But overall, this is an excellent, amazing starting point. It will teach you guys all the basics. You will learn how to use the page object model. You will learn how to code tests in a great way so that they are repeatable, reusable, easy to maintain, and very robust and stable. So don't worry about all the negatives. I'm just listing it out, just being honest. But the framework is an excellent starting point for any new automation engineer.